Hey everybody, Crystal Beaudry here with Crystal's Clean Kitchen, where we help make clean eating a lifestyle. So I not only do amazing recipes, but I also have been getting into doing book reviews. Now I love learning and I love learning about health. So I have done a couple of them in the past. I did Lies My Doctor Told Me, which was an amazing book. You should go check that out. And then I also did one on the hormone reset diet. It was by Dr. Sarah Gottfried. And today I am super excited. I just read and finished her brain body diet book, and I'm going to be doing a book review on that today. So if you want, you can get the book. I will link it down below, but you can also rent it from the library if you want to check it out before you buy it, just to make sure that you like it. Okay, let's get into it. Now, in her hormone reset diet, that book that I did, it talks a lot about how to manage your hormones and make sure that they are on an even scale. And so I've been keeping up with my hormones and making sure that they're on track. But I kind of noticed that there was still something else going on. One of the signs that she had given in her previous books was like, hey, if you have a lot of toxicity, these are the signs to look for. And so hearing that, I was like, I wonder if I am dealing with a toxic overload. And when one of my subscribers told me that she came out with a new book, I was super excited because it was just what I need. This book was 100% the answers that I was looking for, and it's dealing a lot about your toxic overload in your body and how that affects your brain and how can we reverse it. Now, my husband has been saying to me, Crystal, you keep saying that you have pregnancy brain, because I'll be trying to think of a word and what is the word? And if any of you have been pregnant before, you can relate because the struggle is for real. And my daughter is 6 years old and I still am struggling. And if you went to a doctor and you're like, hey, I am having some memory loss, some brain fog, I'm forgetting my words, and they're going to just say, hey, you're getting older. No, that's not the thing. There is a problem here, and I was wanting to try to fix it. And either that, or they'll say, hey, get on this drug, which of course I'm not all about the drugs. I would rather do it naturally if I can. So I love her book. We're going to dive into it today. And so if you're dealing with any of these signs, this book is for you. Okay, feeling obligated or stressed, like you're churning and not making any progress. Number 2, weight gain, thicker waistline, or a difficulty losing weight. Number 3, fluid retention, feeling puffy all over, dull skin, sensitivity to chemicals. Number 4, brain fog, sluggishness, trouble concentrating or thinking clearly, seeming like your mental speed is kind of a little slow. Number 5, complacency, less empathy, social isolation, or feeling the need to dominate or control. Number 6, leaky gut, which may appear as gas, abdominal bloating, and discomfort, acid reflux, constipation, or loose stool. Number 7, overwhelm, restlessness or anxiety. Number 8, difficulty sleeping restfully throughout the night. Number 9, burnout, depression, impulsivity, or aggression. Number 10, sugar, alcohol, or dairy cravings that you just can't seem to ditch. Number 11, addictive tendencies for food, alcohol, exercise, shopping, social media, or your smartphone. Number 12, the resting bitch face. 13, feeling a lack of sovereignty, freedom, or security about your health or your future. Or number 14, feeling that your short-term memory is slipping. So I love what she says in this paragraph. In personalized lifestyle medicine, when you don't feel completely healthy, we first start with the brain-gut connection, beginning with food, whereas the mainstream media, or like if you go to the doctor, a lot of times they'll just say, hey, let me give you a drug for that. There's another way. So a food-first philosophy is the foundation of a robust, healthy brain-body connection. And if you ignore your symptoms, then you raise the risk of serious cognitive decline and other brain-body problems that could be in your future sooner than expected if you don't take care of that issue now. So that's kind of shocking, to me. If If you are not going to deal with this, a lot of, especially if you were pregnant, you're thinking, oh, it will get better, hopefully soon as I lose the mommy brain. But she said, if you don't deal with it, it can lead to something way worse. And we do not want mental issues or memory issues later on in life, right? Does anybody else want to fix this now? So she said that the first thing that she, because we're talking about your brain also, not just your toxins in your body, but did you know that your toxins in your body can leak into your brain? And she said that your nerve cells or your neurons are way more delicate than what she originally thought, and they can easily break or get damaged with inflammation. Now, a lot of us are living this our lifestyle is just tons of inflammation, and we don't realize that our body has so much inflammation, and it's inhibiting our healing process because of all the inflammation that we're carrying around. Second, she said she was shocked to find how many toxins are in our brain. And she said, even though I'm living a clean lifestyle, and I'm thinking, hey, and I was even talking to somebody the other day, and they're like, oh, I eat super good, and this person lives a really clean lifestyle, and they make sure to watch everything that they eat. And I'm like, just because you eat a clean lifestyle doesn't mean you don't have a toxic overload. That's something that we need to get checked out and tested to make sure that our levels are at a good, that our body is at a good level. Toxins of all sort can be linked to vague brain symptoms that are related to your memory, your focus, your impulse control, your resilience, your libido, your weight gain, and your mood. So a lot of women, especially that I know, are like, hey, why don't I have libido? Why don't I have a really strong drive? Hey, did you know that it could be a toxic overload? That's a huge thing. It could be something else besides just your hormone levels. She also said that she realizes that she may have never recovered her full brain functionality after she had her last child, and that was 10 years ago. That's crazy. I don't feel so bad with my 6 years now of still having the mommy brain. So doctors a lot of times will tell you that anxiety, depression, having trouble finding the words on the tip of your tongues were just a part of getting older. And a lot of times for losing weight, they say, well, just eat less and exercise more. That's a huge pet peeve of mine. Has anybody else ever tried eating less and exercising more? Raise your hand. Does it work? No, it doesn't. If there's other things that are in your body, especially in the woman's body, if there's other things, it is not going to make it easy for you to lose weight if you have a really high toxicity level in your body. So let that be kind of a breath of fresh air, because if you feel like you're trying everything to lose weight and you're still struggling, there's probably something deeper that's going on, and this book is for you. So it was a breath of fresh air for me. Here is what you can expect from this book. Number one, she's going to help us remove toxins from our body and show us how to do that. Sometimes I feel like there's all these pills that you can take. Oh, this will help clean your liver. This will help do this. But you're like, okay, is it really doing anything? I'm not sure. So she's going to show us what supplements to take and what we can do naturally to help our body detoxify. Number two, change your body weight set point. A lot of times our body thinks, hey, you're supposed to be 200 pounds, when in actuality we need to be 150 or whatever it is. To change that set point, you have to tell your body to change it before it will change it. Otherwise it will just think, no, I'm supposed to be at 200 pounds. No, you're not. You're supposed to be less. Your body just thinks you're supposed to be more. So changing your body weight set point in the brain, that makes it so difficult to lose weight. Number three, recover the gray matter, which is your brain cells that are responsible for processing and cognition that has been lost during pregnancy or even having excess alcohol, because excess alcohol does the exact same thing. So number four, improving your strength, including your leg strength, which actually has something to do with predicting your cognitive function years later. Number five, regain and stabilize your mental health and prevent burnout, depression, and anxiety. So many women that I know that are starting in their 40s suddenly get really bad depression. And there is a reason behind it. It is not just, oh, you have depression. you have to look at what is the deeper cause of the depression that you're dealing with. Number 6, adding years to your life by restoring the health to your mitochondria that may have been damaged from the combination of too much sugar, fat, oxidative damage, heavy metals, and xenobiotics. Number 7, deepen your sleep and enhance your lymphatic system and clear more of the amyloid beta, which is the potential toxin that can contribute to the Alzheimer's disease. Number 8, regain the balance in your gut flora that helps with preventing inflammation, autoimmunity, hormone problems, and weight gain. Number 9, prevent or reverse brain-related neuroinflammation and degenerative diseases such as memory loss, Alzheimer's, and multiple sclerosis. And number 10, create a greater sense of integrated wholeness, what she likes to call neurospirituality. Okay, so you're going to be quelling your inflammation by clearing your toxins, healing your brain and your body connections, especially between your gut and your brain. Now, I don't know about you, but I have been hearing so much about the gut connection to the rest of your body. And a lot of these illnesses that are coming out say, hey, the root cause of this is actually a gut issue. And in fact, in one of the books that I was reading, it might have been this one, she was talking about anxiety and depression, about how that actually stems from an issue in your gut, which is so interesting to me. It's so interesting. Okay, so mainstream doctors will not tell you, for instance, that when you become pregnant, your gray matter will actually shrink. But the interesting part about that is when it shrinks, you actually develop a greater affection for your baby, your baby, and more of a closeness to your baby, which is kind of interesting. So this book is about unlocking your brain-body connection and discovering how to overcome the broken 7. So this is what the broken 7 is: a toxic overload, rising body weight, brain fog, which can come from either postpartum, perimenopausal, or menopausal, a predisposition towards anxiety, addiction, depression, and memory loss. So to fix those, what she's going to do is help you remove toxins, help you lower your body weight set point, help you clear your brain fog, healing the reward deficiency syndrome and addiction, calming down anxiety, emerging from depression, and restoring memory loss. And a brain detox can help your whole body heal more effectively. Okay, so in this episode, we are going to be talking mainly just about the toxic portion of it, because I feel like that is going to be the biggest thing that your body is struggling with. And so that's why we're going to focus a lot of time on that, especially in this episode. Now, I will be doing additional episodes on some of the other ones, maybe all of them together. I'm not quite sure yet, but this section is so big that I just thought I would focus all of our time on this because there's just so much to it. So in the first part of this section, she gives actual clinical things that have happened to her at her clinic, of stories of women coming in saying, hey, I'm experiencing all of these symptoms. What can you do to help me? And so then she has put them on this protocol that we will discuss at the end of this episode, and what you can do to try to fix these issues. And all of these women tried it, had success, reversed their problems, and it was kind of amazing stories. So I loved reading through all of those stories, which is another reason why I think you should buy this book. I don't say that for all of the books that I read, because I've been reading a ton of health books, and I'm like, I don't think I should do an episode on any of these because they didn't quite grab me. And this book was different. So I do think you should buy this book. I personally listened to it in an audiobook format, and that was super beneficial to me. I've listened to it like 3 or 4 times already now because it was so good, and I felt like I couldn't just listen to it once. I had to kind of get it in me and listen to it quite a few times. So I loved those stories. It gives kind of a real life example of people that are fixing their problems. She also talks about how many chemicals are created in our country a year, and then also how many are getting tested to see if they're actually safe for our environment. And it actually makes me really mad because there's so many getting invented and they're not getting tested. Only a really small fraction of them are getting tested to see what they're going to do to our bodies. And it's just kind of depressing to think of all of those things. One example is this pesticide DDT, which is associated with a fourfold increase of breast cancer when you're exposed in utero. Another one is lead, which has been shown to induce oxidative stress in women and a loss of the balance of hormones. Toxins can make you sick, chemicals that can become poisonous even at a low dose. But the thing is, they're in our food, they're in our air, they're all around us. And so even though they're low doses, because we're getting so many of them at once from everywhere, that is why our toxic overload is becoming so great. So think about the BBP, which is a hormone disruptor that you can find we all know that they can be on plastic bottles and all of that, but did you know that now they say they're also on receipts from the grocery store? I know I've been talking to my kids, and my husband is, and now whenever I go to Costco, my daughter's like, throw away the receipt, don't touch it, Mom, which is kind of funny. But also, it kind of helps you remember, oh yeah, there is BPA on this receipt. I'm touching it and it's going into my body, and it's a hormone disruptor. So that is good to think about where you're accumulating all of these toxins and seeing what you can do in your life to kind of change your habit for your toxins that you are around all of the time. Toxins can also be released from imbalanced microbes like bacteria, fungi, or parasites. But removing the toxins that she refers to in this chapter are the types that you're exposed to in small amounts over the years without knowing it. And guess what organ in your body helps deal with toxins? Your liver. And so if your liver is dealing with all of this toxic overload, and then you're like, hey, liver, keep on going. But your liver gets kind of backed up and full, and then it's like, I don't want to deal with this anymore, you guys. And so that's why there's so many problems that are coming, so many illnesses that are coming from an overloaded liver, and that's not good. So your liver is the main organ that's in charge with dealing with your toxins. And not all toxins are created equal. So alcohol moves to the front of the list no matter what. I'm very anti-alcohol. And I'm always telling my kids, why would you knowingly drink poison? It is literally poison and you're drinking it. And then you're like, hey, body, liver, can you deal with even more poison and toxins that are all around us? It's so stupid to me. So, I'm coming from that perspective. I am very anti-alcohol. But even she says alcohol moves to the front of the line. It's the worst one out of all of them. And tiny exposures, when they accumulate, can mix with other toxins and cause blockages in your liver. And it can cause serious brain-body problems. And think about lead, for instance. Like, they've been finding lead in tap water. Most people don't know, hey, there might be lead in your water. You should get it tested. Another one is phthalates, which is fake estrogen, and that is commonly found in most moisturizers. So thanks, America. That's great. You can also get toxins from fungus like mold. Maybe you have a leak behind the dishwasher in your kitchen that you didn't know about. Maybe you have a yeast overgrowth in your gut from eating too much sugar. But one of the things that I just got tested for, I did get tested for mold, and they said that my mold was an environmental mold that came from, I live in Minnesota, and when all the snow melted, it created mold outside. Snow mold is what they call it. And so I started feeling really lethargic and my energy levels were down a ton. And it was because of environmental mold outside. And so I took some things to help get rid of that. But that's another interesting concept, because I'm like, where am I getting mold from? I've checked my house. I'm very conscious of mold. And so that was good to know that it was environmental. So one goal in this section is to help us understand what's getting us into trouble with toxins. And the most common reasons are, number one, too high of a dose or accumulation of toxins. Number two, many toxins over time with negative synergies between them, kind of like creating a cocktail effect. Number three, it could be because you have weak genes, which we'll get into a little bit later in this episode. Number 4, not enough focused detoxification by eating vegetables, clearing your liver pathways, and using supplements to help that process, and also sweating out your toxins. We in America are really big on air conditioners. Well, sweating is real good for you. So us being focused more on going in saunas and getting our sweating to happen is super important. Then here is some symptoms of if your brain is toxic, because I've seen lots of the toxic symptoms in my body, but how can I tell in my brain? So have you ever had these symptoms or been around these things in the past 6 months? Make sure to check them off, because we're going to do a tally at the end to see how toxic you could be. Number 1, have you ever lived in an urban or an industrial area? More specifically, in a pollution zone, such as near a freeway or a hazardous waste site, contaminated water supply, building construction, demolition, or non-organic farming. Now, we live right next to a highway. I mean, not super close, maybe like 2 blocks away from it, but that pollution is all around us. A lot of times when I'm going on a walk, I try not to, but a lot of times I'm walking next to a road with cars with pollution. Number 2, do you drink water that is a tap water, well water, or water from a plastic bottle? Number 3, are you eating food that is not organic or common foods that are genetically modified, such as corn, soy, alfalfa, squash, or zucchini? Number 4, have you ever had any medical exposures like general anesthesia, medical fillings, or been vaccinated? Did you know that a lot of these vaccinations, they're filling with heavy metals that can break through your blood-brain barrier and get your brain toxic? Have you ever taken over-the-counter medication like antihistamines, such as Benadryl, acetaminophen, ibuprofen, or acid-blocking drugs such as synthetic hormones like birth control pills, fertility medication, estrogen, progesterone, testosterone, or any prostate medication? Number 6, have you ever been exposed to mold or heavy metals? Now, for instance, my dad is an electrician and he is constantly in building sites, and he gets exposed to that kind of stuff all of the time because that's his job. So that's something to think about too. Number 7, do you use common skincare or cleaning products? Now, at our house, we like to do completely non-toxic, very natural cleaning products. By trade, that is what I do. I clean professionally, and I make sure to use all non-toxic, super natural cleaning stuffs. And someday I will probably do some episodes on how you can make your own of those too, because it's actually quite fascinating that you can make all of that stuff naturally without the use of these heavy chemical stuff. So that's something to think about. And also your skincare stuff. Do you actually know what's in your skincare stuff? I was recently looking at something that I thought was very, very kind of healthy, and I was reading the backs. Oh, that's actually has some really bad ingredients in it that I just didn't realize. So make sure to be reading the backs of all of the products that you use, your toothpaste, your lotions, your shampoos, all of that. Number 8, have you experienced poor memory, difficulty with concentration, brain fog, slow processing speed, poor physical coordination, slurred speech, and or learning difficulties? My daughter is having some speech. She's needing a little extra support in her speech area. And that was one thing that I was researching. They said, well, that could be a sign of a heavy metal toxicity. Also, that maybe if we gave her some support, that might help. Even the slightest bit, which I am totally wanting to try. I will try anything to help her along with that process. But that was kind of interesting to me, that even with speech stuff, that could be a sign of a heavy metal toxicity. Okay, number 9, have you experienced any heavy stressors, such as marital separation or divorce, retirement, loss of job, business failure, major personal illness, death, or major illness in a family member, including your spouse, marriage or birth of a baby? Number 10, have you had any persistent sugar cravings, episodes of binge eating or drinking of alcohol, cravings for a certain food? Number 11, have you been eating fewer than 7 servings of vegetables in a day? Now remember, vegetables will help us naturally detoxify, which is why she has that on that list. Or produce other than something that's organic. Are you eating processed meats like bacon, hot dogs, sausage, that sort of thing? Number 12, have you suffered from skin problems, including hives, acne, flushing, or excessive sweating? Number 13, have you suffered from emotional problems such as a mood swing, anxiety, fear, anger, irritability, or depression? Number 14, have you had low energy during the day, including fatigue, sluggishness, apathy, or even restlessness or hyperactivity? Number 15, have you experienced digestive symptoms such as nausea, vomiting, constipation, diarrhea, gas, heartburn, or bloating? Have you felt pain such as headaches, joint tenderness, achiness, arthritis, stiffness, or limitation of movement, or muscle aches or pains? That was number 16. And number 17 is, have you experienced respiratory symptoms such as a sore throat, hoarseness, chronic coughing, stuffy nose, sinus problems, hay fever, excessive mucus production, chest congestion, asthma, bronchitis, or shortness of breath? Ugh. Okay, that was a lot of the list, but if you said yes to 3 or more of those questions, you may have an issue with a low-level toxicity exposure. 6 to 8 means you probably have a moderate toxicity in your brain or blood, your brain or body, and 9 or more, and you may have a severe toxic burden, which I definitely had the 9 or more. And so the protocol at the end of this chapter will help you to remove the toxins, reduce future exposures, and help deal with the damage from your neurotoxins. Okay, so how do toxins get to the brain, and how do we get rid of them? So the main ways that toxins get to the brain are through an overtaxed liver, a weak detox genes, a sluggish lymphatic system, leaky gut, or a leaky blood-brain barrier. That means not only do you need to detoxify your body, but also you need to detoxify your brain. Going forward, don't think of them as separately. So she will refer to that in this book a lot as your brain body. That's what she calls it. So the main way that we can remove the toxins from our brain is from our lymphatic system. And that's kind of like the trash collection that occurs while you sleep. Okay, so your cerebral spinal fluid in your brain increases, and it washes away the other toxins and your metabolic waste that builds up in between your brain cells during your waking hours. But certain toxins like alcohol, general anesthesia, can slow down your lymphatic system, and it may inhibit the removal of your toxins. So let's say you just had surgery, you were under generalist anesthesia, and sometimes after that you have begun to develop problems. Well, that's the reason why. It's because when you're sleeping, that isn't cleaning out the toxins from your brain. That's so interesting to me. Additionally, your immune system connects to the brain via the lymphatic system, which is a vast network that transports fluid throughout your body. The lymphatic system helps to get rid of toxins. So if yours is sluggish, you may be vulnerable to accumulating more toxins. Now, one of the things that I remember my chiropractor telling me was the more movement that you have, the only way your lymphatic system can work, this is what he told me, was that when you move, it kind of like will help push that all through your body. So if you're more of a sedentary person, your lymphatic system might not be working how it is supposed to be working. So there's some toxins that can even break through your blood-brain barrier, and she'll have that list in the book. But toxins can make you fat and slow. They clog up your liver, they get stored in your fat, and then they ultimately will back up into your brain. Oh, that's kind of freaky. 5 categories of everyday chemicals listed below, many found in clothing, food, tap water, furniture. Most are external, but some made internally in the body are harming our brains, making us more inflamed, more stressed, more fat, and creating more brain trash. So we need to know our enemies in order to reverse the brain-body damage from toxins. Number 1, alcohol, the worst one. For real, stop drinking alcohol. It's not benefiting you at all. There's better ways that you can relax and all of that. Number 2, heavy metals such as arsenic, cadmium, lead, mercury, and manganese. Number 3, other endocrine disruptors like pesticides and those sort of things. Number 4, chemicals that are released in your body from chronic stress, CRH, excess cortisol. And number 5, air pollutions. So your liver is under the most stress because it's constantly trying to get rid of all of these toxins that are in our body. And it stores toxins that it can't deal with. Guess where it stores it? In your fat cells. Cool. So as you can imagine, with all the volume of toxins that our liver has to triage, it can get overloaded very easily. And when that happens, fat starts to accumulate in the liver, and guess what that's called? Non-alcoholic fatty liver disease. And so many people have this disease. I know a lot of people that struggle with it are like, but I don't drink alcohol. Yeah, this is not an alcohol-induced thing. It is like a toxic overload that is in your liver that your liver is just not being able to deal with. Of course, there's probably other reasons for a fatty liver disease also, but that's a big one. And she said if you don't deal with it, you can have liver problems in the future, even cirrhosis of your liver within 10 years of not dealing with it. So relying on your liver to do this job when all of these toxins are overloading it, we have to help it out. We have to reduce the input of toxins and accelerate the release of toxins through what we're eating and supplements that we're taking. So part of the protocol that she gives, and at the end of each section, she gives a specific protocol with supplements and what you can do and what you should avoid eating, what you should add into your daily life. So one of the things she says to add in is make sure to eat 1 6-ounce serving, now only 6 ounces, of fruit, and only specific fruits. So berries, cranberries, and grapefruit. Those are phenomenal for helping your liver, but only 6 ounces. So many people think, oh, it's fruit, I should just eat a bunch. No, you shouldn't. Especially this doctor, she's really strict about the amount of sugar that you're intaking. But she said if you have a fungal overgrowth, skip sugar altogether. You have to, because sugar feeds that fungus and you don't want that. Okay, so protein, make sure that you're eating enough clean protein to maintain your muscle mass. Typically for women, 3 to 4 ounces per meal, and for men, she says at least 6. But limit your saturated fats, including beans, fish, poultry, pea protein, and hemp protein. Limit those. Fats, you want to have healthy fats. She suggests 2 tablespoons at least of healthy fats. So coconut oil, avocado oil, dark chocolate, more than 85% cacao, avocados, olives, or wild fish. Make sure that you're having a good amount of fiber, and also make sure that you're having a prebiotic, which has a lot of fiber in it too. Fiber is I know for her other book that she wrote about your hormones, she talked a lot about fiber and how that helps push all the toxins through your body because it will help you to eliminate more, which is good. And then she said for drinking, you should be drinking half of your body weight in liquid. Now, we're not drinking sugary drinks. We're not adding honey to stuff. We're not adding sweetener to stuff at all. We're drinking water, really good carbon filtered reverse osmosis water, organic herbal tea, or hot filtered water with a squeeze of lemon or lime, black tea or green tea. And she also talks about each of those things in the book, the benefits for why should you drink green tea, why should you drink black tea, especially for your liver, and what that does kind of opens up she goes into it. So make sure to read that part in the book. And then another thing that she wants us to do in this protocol is commit to intermediate fasting. I don't love intermediate fasting. And I know a lot of people are very pro it. I'm not saying that is bad at all. I think intermediate fasting is great. But for my body type, I just notice it's not the best with the type of work that I do. But for this specific thing that we're trying to do, we're trying to detoxify. There's a special thing that happens to your body when you fast, and it really helps your body to get rid of toxins. So when I did this 40 days, I did do it all completely myself so that I'm practicing what I'm preaching too. But intermediate fasting is a big thing with this because we're wanting to get those toxins flushed out, and we're also wanting our organs to get a break and to be able to just heal. So it is really important, especially for this protocol, to be doing intermediate fasting. Even though, like I said, for me, I don't love it. In fact, the whole time I was like, I hate it. It's the worst. It's fine. You survive. Okay, so she suggests for women, If you need to start out slow, like if you've never done it before, just start out slow. Start out with 12 hours, go up to 14. Women should try to get up to a 16 to 18 hour window, and men should be getting up to a 14 to 16 hour window. For example, finish dinner at 6, start eating again the next day at 10. That's not so bad. And no snacking, because otherwise you'll go off the fast and that defeats the purpose. So she says to avoid foods that will destabilize your sugar or introduce heavy metals and hurt your mitochondria. Now, foods that frequently contain mold, she says you want to eliminate those because we're trying to heal our body for this process. And I know you're not going to like this list, but coffee, nuts, peanuts, wine, and grains. I'm sorry. Yes, there's so much mold in coffee that people don't, and there's so many heavy metals and toxins in coffee that people just don't realize. Now, with grains, let's talk about grains for a second here. With grains, they have been finding heavy metals like arsenic in grains, especially those little fishy crackers that you give your kids. Oh, they've been finding arsenic in those. Oh my goodness, that's horrible. So she says we're cutting out all the grains. Now that's also going to help relax your gut and help your leaky gut heal. So that's why that's another really big, important thing to do. So I'm sorry, no grains, no alcohol, and also no red meat, no processed food, no margarine, no cheese, no pastries, no fried food or fast food, or artificial drinks or diet drinks. We don't want any of that because that's going to inhibit the healing process. No tonic, which contains some stuff that's not great for your nervous system or your vision. No sugar, refined carbohydrates, processed foods, which can harm your mitochondria. So what I did on my 40 days was I did no red meat. So I ate chicken or turkey. I ate a lot more vegetables. Like I said, only the 6 ounces servings of fruit. So she does say that you can eat like sweet potatoes and things like that, tubers and things like that. So you want to stay away from all of that other stuff. I'm so sorry. But if you've noticed on my channel in the last couple of weeks, I have been posting more recipes that include sweet potatoes, which I hadn't been doing in the previous couple of years just because they are a higher carb. But unfortunately, with all the things that we're eliminating, we need something that we can eat. And so that's why I was doing a lot more recipes that had sweet potatoes in them. The second step that we are going to do is we are going to be taking some supplements. So she says to take berberine and curcumin, especially. Curcumin helps with your inflammation. It's very anti-inflammation. And I will make sure to link those down below so that you know which kind she suggests, and I'll also write out the milligrams of what to take. The next thing is that we need to exercise because exercise helps, like I said earlier, your lymphatic system to move and to get going. So at least 4 days a week for 30 minutes. She suggests to do Kundalini yoga, which is a specific type of yoga. Apparently it's really good for you. I did talk to another person that I know that does yoga, and she's like, oh, Kundalini yoga, it is actually really good for you, but you need to find an actual Kundalini yoga teacher because there's a difference, apparently. And she said, try to have at least a moderate zone for your heart rate, so at least 50 to 70% of your maximum heart rate. She said a quick calculation of that is to subtract your age from 220, and then that's how you know what your heart rate is supposed to be at. And then also make sure that you're sweating when you're working out. That's important too. She said sit in a sauna 4 to 7 days a week. So we are really, again, our mindset is to focus on detoxification. A big way you detoxify is through your sweat. So she says go in a sauna if you can, or try to look into buying an at-home sauna. I know my parents have this little sauna thing that you can lay in and it kind of covers you. I personally don't like it because it makes me feel claustrophobic, and I'm like, I hate being hot and sweating. So I don't care for it, but that is an option also, that if you're wanting to buy something like that at home, that's an idea. Or else a local gym would work. Sometimes tanning salons have places that you can go in for those types of saunas also. Okay, practice Kundalini yoga. That would be helpful. And then step 3, So we're really focusing on detoxifying through sweat, heat, and circulation, which is why we talked about working out and the saunas and all of that. So this next part, she talks about your genetics when it's related to your toxicity level. She said some genetics, they just don't do great with detoxifying your body naturally. And so that's why you have to kind of aid them along in helping your body detoxify. Now, I think that I might be one of these genetic codes because here's the symptoms of it. Poor detoxification shows up as being highly sensitive to physical stimuli. For example, smelling cigarette smoke or strong chemical scents will set you off. For me, if I just walk by somebody that's smoking a cigarette, or if I walk into somebody's home and they have one of those air plugins that will have a fragrance, I immediately will get a headache and I will feel like I'm going to throw up. Immediately. And she said that's a sign that your toxic load is very high and maybe your genetic code isn't helping your body detoxify. She also said that you could feel like your nervous system is really delicate. Your ability to clear toxins may be impaired based on the way your genes will interact with the environment. She also will go into all the heavy metals and talk about them and where you'll find each one at, especially like lead and mercury and all of that sort of stuff. And then she talks about mold is another toxin that can find its way into your body and make you lose your balance, kind of feel these weird ice pick pains or headache, cause brain fatigue, trouble with focus, fatigue, muscle cramping, joint pain, numbness, tingling, or even weight gain. It can attack your central nervous system and it can thin out the lining of your nerve cells, making you susceptible to the symptoms that are similar to those of multiple sclerosis or Alzheimer's disease. So we've talked a lot about how you get your toxic overload and what you can do. Again, the protocol, we're intermediate fasting, which helps prevent the inflammation and decreases diseases. It helps remove toxins, lose weight, and ultimately it will help you to age more slowly. It helps lower your body weight set points. And she's going to give all of those scientific principles that are behind each of those things. We're staying away from red meat. We're staying away from dairy, although I think that you can eat butter, just most like cheeses and margarine and that sort of stuff. We're staying away from all grains, so no breads, no pastas, no anything like that. No sugar, no alcohol, and we're focusing on eating 5 to 10 cups of vegetables. She said especially eat your allium vegetables, which is like your leeks, onions, and garlics, which can help your body detoxify. And also your cruciferous vegetables like broccoli, Brussels sprouts, cabbage, cauliflower, kale, and radishes, because they can trigger and clean up your liver and your immune system. Basically, like eat the rainbow. Make sure to just be including as many vegetables as you can. We're taking those brain supplements, the berberine and the curcumin, and also focus on detoxifying your body with the sweat, the heat, and the circulation. Doing lots of exercise, especially like Kundalini yoga. So that is the first portion of this book. Like I said before, I will be doing the rest of it in a different episode because this was so long. I'm so sorry. But there was just so much to go through. You guys, thank you so much for watching. Now, I am next going to be talking about, but if you need to go, that's fine. But I wanted to tell you about my experience with, I like I said, noticed that I was having all of these toxicities. One of the thing was I lost a bunch of hair. I had a ton of hair loss and I was like, what is happening? Why am I losing so much hair? I was thinking, was it, from getting sick or maybe having COVID, which I haven't had COVID since like years ago. And so I didn't understand what was happening in my body. So I went to go see a specialist, and it was actually a muscle testing. It was through muscle testing, which is kind of interesting. If you live in the state of Minnesota and if you wanted to check out the same place that I did, let me know and I will get you their number and you can check it out as well. So they did a test for me and found out I had 4 major heavy metals. And I also had a mold toxicity. Like I said, I had gotten mold toxicity from the snow, and that was affecting a ton. I also had a ton of parasites. Now, parasites will hold on to heavy metals and it will inhibit your body from releasing them and processing them out. So that was a big thing for me. I've been, for the past at least 6 months, working on getting rid of all of the parasites that have been in my body. There's different sizes for parasites. There's some that are really, really small that can get into your bloodstream. There's some that are larger. And so it's a huge process to try to get rid of them. You can get parasites from everywhere. Like, so many people are like, well, I haven't traveled. How am I getting parasites? You can get parasites from walking barefoot, from shaking somebody's hand, from swimming in the lake, or even a pool. You can get them all over the place. So the chances of you having parasites are like a 10 of 10. You probably have parasites. And that's probably not helping your heavy metal toxicity. So this place that I went to, it's called Eating Elevated. It's in St. Michael, Minnesota. And it is, they help check it through muscle testing. And so they were able to find all of this stuff out and then also give me supplements that I could help support. Oh, and they also checked my organs to see which organs were kind of struggling and which ones needed support to help my body continue this detoxification process. I've also been doing some, I don't know, have you ever heard of an ionic foot bath? Kind of crazy. My parents have all the machines. So I do it at my parents' house, but it helps you detoxify through doing like this foot bath. And oh my goodness, I've gotten out so much stuff when you look at the water afterwards. In fact, I even got a parasite out when I was doing it. My water was black and I saw like a worm in there, so that was gross. But we've been just really focusing on detoxification. And I am so excited to continue on with this book. Well, thank you guys so much for watching. Now, I also wanted to mention that if you would like to be in a little book club of mine, like whenever I'm reading a new book, I will email you and say, hey, this is the book that I am checking out. Read it, let me know what you think, and we can have a discussion about it. I would love that. You can email me at crystalscleankitchen@gmail.com. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to stay tuned for some more great episodes. We'll see you next time.